Ford just launched a new Bronco. Here's the gist. It looks pretty cool, has a bleep ton of off-road cred in its design, and it comes in a sort of baby blue color because that's what's most associated with the glory days of this SUV. Here's some info.
This review is brought to you by charcoal toothpaste.
So there's a couple of versions of the Bronco. One of them is the bigger one, which is going to be the, I don't know, 4-door, fit the family in it, mid-size kind of Bronco. And then there is the Bronco Sport, which is probably what most people are wanting to see anyway. The Bronco Sport is a little smaller. It still comes in a 4-door if you want. And it is, according to Ford, built wild. That's their new trademark. I kid you not. Built wild. Anyway, looking at the Bronco, the design kind of looks like they took a Ford Flex and smushed it down. That's not terrible. That's not really a bad thing. That's not terrible. Because the Flex would have been a good-looking vehicle had they given it some pizzazz, which they gave a lot of to the Bronco. So here's what you got. Ford created a whole lot of little taglines and acronyms and some trademarks for this thing. They are really excited about this little SUV. They're calling it a GOAT. Goes over any type of terrain. That's their heritage for it, right? It's built wild, extreme durability, testing, capability, and innovative design. All in capital letters. This thing is the most hyped vehicle in the last 3 or 4 years, easy. I have seen more teasers, more quote-unquote leaks, more whatever on this vehicle than any vehicle in a very long time. And all of it, all that hype, was a total build-up to goodness, because this isn't terrible at all. This is really awesome. Ford hasn't said it, but they are definitely going straight after Jeep. They are trying to knock the Wrangler down a peg. They're trying to show that they are capable of doing that. This has been going on for a while. Ford has wanted to do this. There is a definite market for this. There's a big market for this. And Ford is aiming both at Jeep right here in both renditions. So we're talking about the bigger Jeeps like the Grand Cherokee, as well as the Wrangler, which is what the Bronco Sport is probably targeting directly. Then you've got the new Ford truck that is the Tremor, which is going to compete with the Power Wagon. So you got all of that going on. There's going to be a lot of awesome off-road in the very, very near future. So the Bronco, especially in the Sport, the Sport's going to have a 2-liter EcoBoost, so that's a 2-liter turbocharged engine running it. And that is nuts. Some people are going to say it's only a 4-cylinder, but let me tell you something. This is a nutcase little engine. They've used this in a couple other vehicles, and for something as small as the Bronco Sport, that's a very, very good match. Especially when you have all that torque almost from the get-go, because that is it brings it at, I'm trying to remember what the numbers are, but it brings that maximum torque at something like 1,200, 1,400 RPMs. It's really low. You don't have to spend all your time building up on it. There's a lot of other goodies in this. You can get a reservation for it for $100. So if you want to go jump on this bandwagon, you need to do it right away, because they are not going to be able to build these fast enough. This is such a cool thing. So the Bronco Sport's 245 horsepower, 275 pound-feet of torque, and you can also get it with the smaller 1.5 liter, which is 181 horsepower, 190 pound-feet of torque, and both of them are with an 8-speed transmission. So the Bronco Sport, that's the small one. Most everybody's going to be looking at that, but there is a bigger Bronco too, also built wild. Haha. Anyway, this has much more going on with it, including an option for a 7-speed manual transmission. Now, 7-speed's a big deal, and there's a reason for that. It is not 7 speeds as in you're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It is 7 speeds in that you have a low gear, a crawling gear. That's a big deal. Now, my buddies over at TFL, the Fast Lane, they broke that news when they got some spy shots or leaked photos or something of the interior of a Bronco, and it showed that gear shift. And they got in trouble over that. Ford got mad at them, but they proved to be right. It is a low gear. So what you're going to get with the big Bronco is a 2.7-liter EcoBoost V6. So that's a turbocharged 6-cylinder engine at 310 horsepower, 400 pound-feet of torque. If that sounds familiar, that's because that's also an engine available in the Ford F-150. You're going to have 400 pound-feet available at under 2,000 RPMs. That's nuts, okay? It's got low speed, and so the 6+1 manual transmission I talked about. That low speed gearing is for climbing and lugging. It's for doing the stuff that honestly has really just been Jeep territory up to this point. That gear ratio becomes 94.75 to 1 at the wheels. That is freaking crazy. There's also a 10-speed automatic transmission, if you want that. That has a maximum of 67.8 to 1 crawl. That's all I'm going to give you. There's really no more. I mean, it's got lots of cool stuff. It's got molly hooks on the back of the seat so you can hang your gear military style. It's got all kinds of like attachment points and places for carabiners to hook. You name it, it's on there. It is really cool. So technically the Bronco is a 2021 model. It will hit dealerships sometime towards the end of the year, but do not expect to be able to buy one. You can expect to be able to buy one sometime mid-year next year when they've caught up with all the pre-orders. So if you absolutely have to have one, pony up your $100 and get on the list, because that's how it's going to work. Price is going to start at $29,995. Nobody's going to buy it at that price. Everybody's going to buy it at probably much closer to $50,000 or $60,000 with all the goodies. So there you go. That's what I got. Talk to you again soon.
Subscribe.